There's seeing without a seer, without a located seer, without a manager. And that's actually how people report, athletes report being in a flow state or in the zone, that they just say there's no location. I can look this way and know I'm passing the ball this way while I'm looking that way. And I know exactly where everyone is, and I know what the time on the clock is, and I'm not thinking about it. I'm just in a flow, throw it there, and that's the feeling of being kind of part of everything. So that becomes the tool. The first tool, you're looking to find the awareness. Once you open it, then the local awareness becomes the ability to do something intentionally and with one-pointedness without recreating a doer, without recreating that ego manager. You can now focus on something, do something from here without creating your old sense of self. So did anyone else feel that? Openness of the head? Yeah. Anyone want to say anything about that? Yeah.
I get all this body clenching when I do it, and I'm not sure if it's necessarily not happening, but in the process, like my stomach tightens, and so does that mean that's not quite the right doorway, or I just need more practice, or do I need to address in another way that clenching within me?
I mean, it could mean you might need to do that clenching, or it's showing you that there's some clenching, but it's probably system one saying, get back in here. So it's like a reaction to something new. You open to this bigger sense of self, and system one says, I don't know that. I don't think that's good. Avoid the void is, rule 27B, according to its defense system. Yeah, it's a fear reaction, unconscious fear reaction, but of the little mini-me. Not that there's actually anything threatening, but its system is going to clench you back into your body. So you just have to include it. So the way to do it is if you are both open and you get a clench, don't investigate. Just include. So just just include it or love it or be with it or don't react to it, whichever of those feels right.
So it doesn't mean stopping, just go.
Yeah, it's trying to get you to stop.
Right.
But only innocently. I mean, system one is not a bad, false self, meaning bad self. It's just an innocent operating system that's gone too far, that's overlived its usefulness. It's not supposed to be an adult human functioning system. It's an early vestige of a developmental identity that I think we all are capable of growing out of now. And in fact, if you don't grow out of it, you most likely will suffer as an adult. Because if you're a sensitive creature, an intelligent creature, your ego identity cannot handle a fully intimate human life. It can't do it. So the more sensitive and loving and open-hearted you are, the more you can't actually handle the repercussions of like feeling what's going on in the world, or feeling what's going on in your relationships, or feeling what's, clearing up the past, or your emotional system is stronger than your mental ego identity. You can't be an emotional person. You have to have the ground of being. And the ground of being then has to have open-hearted awareness. Now you'll start to what you're talking about, you start to detox holdings. So just let it detox, and you'll go through what I call shake and bake, which is basically like, whoa, and it'll start to go through what sometimes is done as preliminary practices, transformation practices, will start to happen spontaneously. And if you have the trust and sense that it's okay, it'll clear through, and the life energy will be returned, and there's no threat. And you can titrate it a little bit too. If it becomes too much, you can kind of go, all right, back to, just hold it down here. I've got to show up for something, and then let it cook. And the the more you're in it, the clearer it gets, the more resources you'll have for life and for emotional life and joy, and that's kind of how it goes. So that stuff, which you said, I'll deal with that later. Well, later's now. And you're going to have to deal with that later anyhow. And if you're going to try to keep growing up without waking up, you're going to end up in a depression, anxiety, or stress, because it's not personal. That's not a personal thing. That's like no ego can live an intimate life. If your ego operating system, that's the base, which most of us are, it can't, otherwise you got to shut down, be a robot, or go into one particular role in life. Well, this is just how it is, and I'm just going to get by, and I'm just going to tough it out. Or, I'll just be really emotional all the time because I'm trying to be real, and then you're like, or whatever one of those roles is, whichever thing, you'll choose a philosophical position, and then you'll just try to fit it all into that one thing, and it won't work. Yeah.
Too sensitive.
Too sensitive, yeah, that's right. So the too sensitive, and that's the thing, is that we are sensitive. So the human being is a super sensitive creature. However, you can't deal with it even on the level of even the best spiritual practice and psychological practice can only go to a certain level with the operating system of an ego. You just can't, you can't go. And I've seen, I've been in the psychotherapy business as well as the meditation business. So I've seen, people, super successful people super, in every area from, and they hit a wall. At some point, they hit a wall because they can't do it unless they wake up. You can only grow up so far until you need to wake up. So you might as well start waking up while you're growing up, and because you need to do both. You can also wake up, and if you don't grow up, then you get the gurus who act out and do that, because they woke up, but they didn't grow up. So they do a spiritual bypass, and they get caught in the classic money, sex, drugs, power stuff that is about growing up. So those are, that's the hope, and that's the good news, to say that, but it takes a little more, like this message is for people who are willing to do it by themselves, and willing to say, like, and the reason I introduce it this way is because I try to introduce the good parts right away. Say, like, this is what it's going to be like. Like, fall in love with this, and then you decide whether it's worth it or it's a priority. Because this is you can live like this. This is what you feel now: boundless, embodied, free, interconnected, have a relief. That's what's already here. Why not go for it? Why not do it? You can do it in the midst of your life. You don't need to go away to a monastery or a cave.